Hi everybody, welcome to the East End of London. Let's go back to a period when transportation was a fate second only to execution. Did you know that impersonating an Egyptian or stealing a shroud from a grave would result in penal servitude to the other side of the globe? Hi, my name is Mary Smith. Come and follow me on this freezing cold winter's night on the 10th of February in the year 1827, and I'll explain the unfortunate incident that saw me transported and imprisoned and sent off beyond the seas. Here we are outside the Prospect of Whitby. This was an inn, and it was built during the reign of Henry VIII. It's been through all of the kings and queens and is still standing today. And it's known locally as the Devil's Tavern. This is where I met Andrew Leslie, the blacksmith, where my fate was sealed. If we look around here, these buildings are all of the warehouses where all of the goods that came from the farm were kept. So we're around the back of the Prospect of Whitby Inn, and the talk inside is, as always, of hanging Judge Jeffreys and the ghosts of the gibbeted pirates he had hung above low water at Execution Dock here. Just behind me, if you look carefully, you can see the rope, the noose. So they would leave the pirates hanging here until three tides eventually drowned them. So it wasn't a particularly nice death. So this is the River Thames, and this is where I was on that night when I was my fate was sealed and I was sent away for a long time. In fact, I was sent away for the rest of my life. Right, so these are what would have been the docks when I was here, and Wapping, where we are, is inhabited with sailors, watermen and lightermen, all working together to bring in the tobacco, rice, wine, brandy, sugar, rum, all imported from afar. When the tide is out, tide is in today, when the tide is out, there are rich pickings washed up on the shore. Now, I'm a needlewoman and there's never enough work, so to keep a roof over my head, I earn a pretty penny out on the town. So here we are, now where I can tell you what happened at Bluegate Fields. Just over there, where that school is, just behind me, that's where I lived, in the basement. Some people call this place Tiger Bay on account of the houses being like dens. Many a sailor was betrayed in these houses. On this particular night, it was freezing, and in my room I only had a stove to keep me warm. The blacksmith had been spending money like a drunken sailor. Anyway, he came back to my room and he was ready to leave, and he kicked up a right old fuss, accused me of stealing his purse. I said to him it'd probably fallen out of his pocket when we were stumbling and slipping all over the icy cobbles on our way home from the Prospect of Whitby. He said no. He went outside, he called the watchman. It contains a crown piece. 7 half-crowns and 7 shillings, he was bellowing all over the street. Anyway, let's go off to Central Criminal Court, Old Bailey. I'll tell you what happened next. So here we are outside the Old Bailey. I was here a few weeks ago watching arsonist Charles Thomas White dance at the end of his rope. The terrible scene excited the strongest expression of horror Among the crowd, the young man struggled violently. He tore the cap from his contorted face and gripped the noose so strongly that it loosened from around his neck. The spectacle was horrifying, and the hangman had to hang on to the arsonist's legs to end his suffering. God forbid this be my fate. Imagine how I felt arriving here at Newgate Jail. After 3 days in the jail, on the morning of the 15th of February 1827, at 10 o'clock, the stern-faced judge took his seat on the bench. Terrified I was. Proceedings began. Grandly, the indictment was read out, accusing me of stealing money from the indignant blacksmith. And all the while he's blathering to the judge he had nothing to do with me. Then the watchman takes the stand, all hoity-toity like. I found the purse behind the stove, he said smugly. Then the night constable produces the purse and says, it's missing 13 shillings. No, I had no opportunity to speak for myself. The judge passed a verdict of guilty. To pocket picking, he could have knocked me down with a feather. My knees buckled, they did. I was waiting for him to put his black cap on, but instead he banished me to Botany Bay for life. Follow me now to Millbank Prison. So here we are, standing on the site of the old Millbank Prison. Have you heard of the bloody code? Well, it describes the period when people were given the death sentence for the pettiest of crimes. Thankfully, the judgment of the Death Act was passed in 1823. This gave judges the discretion to pass a lesser sentence, although it didn't apply to treason and murder. Here we are now in Westminster, standing on the site of Millbank Prison. This was the National Penitentiary. This was where I was held before I was transported. Every person sentenced to transportation was sent to Millbank first. Men and women were held for 3 months before their destination was decided. Even though we were all held in solitary confinement, the ventilation system allowed us the sound to carry, so at least I could have a chin wag while I was here. Follow me now onto the banks of the River Thames, and I'll show you the last day that I set foot on British soil. Just over there you can see Vauxhall Bridge. Didn't look like that in 1827, a lot different. But that's the bridge that we passed under. A symbol of freedom that was no longer mine. Well, it's Saturday the 12th of May 1827. It's 3 months now since I had my trial. Here I stand at the bollard on the banks of the River Thames. This is where we all lined up to embark on our journey. 180 females, prisoners, including myself and 3 children. We all departed from London on the Convict ship Harmony and arrived at Port Jackson, Sydney, Australia on the 27th September of the same year. I wish I had time to tell you about my life in Australia, but we'll keep that for another day. And now I end my story on the transport's farewell, cautionary tale to any criminals out there considering doing wrong. Come all you young fellows, take warning by me, and never go midnight walking and shun bad company. And never go midnight walking, or else you will rue the day, while you will get transported and sent to Botany Bay.